What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. It is your opinionated bestie here with some more pop culture. Do we have our reading glasses on? Do we have our excavation tools? Because we are digging out every single skeleton in the closet for today. Today's episode is dedicated to none other than Gypsy Rose Blanchard. Now, if you were alive in 2023 and 2024, you could not stop hearing about Gypsy, okay? She was coming out of prison. She was maybe gonna work something out with Kim Kardashian to help prison reform. And yes, she was a convicted felon or criminal. Gypsy Rose is now 33 years old, but she first came into media attention in 2015 when she was only 22 years old. Now, for those of you guys that are not familiar with Gypsy's story, Gypsy is a victim of Munchausen by proxy.
So Munchausen by proxy is an illness where the person who's the perpetrator will try to impose an illness on another person, usually somebody that's in their care. And they can actually impose this illness by inducing symptoms or doing things to actually physically make the person sick, or they can just falsify things.
Gypsy and her mother, Dee Dee Blanchard, were living together under one roof for 24 years. And Gypsy's mother basically, over the course of her life, had convinced Gypsy, her doctors, people around her, even her father, that Gypsy was struggling with chronic illnesses.
If she can walk, what else have we been lied to about?
Now, some of the illnesses that Gypsy's mother claimed she had were leukemia, muscular dystrophy, that's why she was in the wheelchair, but she could actually walk the whole time.
Why did she tell you you had to be on a walker?
She said that I had muscular dystrophy.
But did you feel any different the day before you got the walker than the day you did have the walker?
No, sir.
In 2015, she and her, at the time, her boyfriend, had conspired together to kill the mother. Gypsy was more of the one to help plan the murder, and then the boyfriend was the one that actually went to executing the boy.
I wanted to escape her.
Nick traveled to Springfield from Wisconsin. That's him checking into a local Days Inn motel where he waited for Gypsy to give word Dee Dee is asleep.
The gonna go down tonight. Just the gloves and knife?
Duct tape, too, to muffle her.
I'll pre-cut it.
And then at that time, the boyfriend was convicted of life in prison, and Gypsy was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Now, I think the reason why that boyfriend got a heavier charge is because in his life, there wasn't necessarily the same signs of severe abuse that, for example, Gypsy had experienced. And I think that the court was kind of able to sympathize a little bit more with Gypsy's situation because it was almost unfathomable to believe that the mother had basically been keeping up this lie. I mean, the house that they had bought in, the finances were all tied to this lie. Like the house was given to them through donation.
And it's so peaceful.
The two were interviewed after Habitat for Humanity built them a handicapped accessible home because of Gypsy's disabilities. They said she was confined to a wheelchair.
We have an awesome bathtub. It's a jacuzzi tub meant for my muscles.
The mother was a part of different kind of philanthropic groups where she was showing Gypsy. Like, when it came to find out that actually was never even the case. So Gypsy actually ended up only doing 8 years in prison. She got out 2 years early, and she was out in December 2023. That's when all the big, like, ooh, is she gonna do this, is she gonna do that? That's when all that started happening. And shortly after that, I mean, she gained so much popularity. She, at a certain point, had 8 million Instagram followers. And then she deleted that later. Now she's like closer to 1 million. But people were like, they wanted to see what was gonna happen with her. They wanted to see, like, is this girl a normal girl? And through my research about her, I just wanna say that I started off thinking that this video was gonna be about a certain thing and I was about to like find out all this juicy stuff on Gypsy. I wanna just say, before I get into all this, that Gypsy is a victim of severe abuse. Okay, she is learning or had to learn what it is like to live a normal life, what it is like to live a life without abuse, what a real, genuine relationship looks like. Even when she was arrested and she was convicted of this crime, she didn't even know her actual age. Okay, she thought she was 19 years old. Turns out she was a little bit older than that, a couple of years older than that, but just to show you kind of like the level of abuse that she endured. Now, because of course we did some digging here, we found some stuff, so we're gonna talk about those things. But I'm just saying, as overall, we gotta be understanding of her and we gotta give her that grace. So let's talk about Gypsy's love life. I feel like I always saw on TikTok, all these things, people were criticizing her because they were like, oh my god, she has to be in a relationship. She's so codependent on people. Like, shut up, okay? You are entitled to date who you want to date. If you want to go mess around in the club, no one's telling you nothing, okay? So leave Gypsy alone when she just wants to find a cute boyfriend, husband, and marry them, okay? So she is doing what is normal, okay, for normal people. The first like major relationship that she was in when she was in prison was with a man named Ken. And now Ken basically had written to her after he watched that documentary that I mentioned, Mommy, Dad, and Dearest in 2017. And then they started kind of dating, they started kind of chatting, and then he proposed the next year in 2018. They eventually broke up in 2019. So at that time, it was like, okay, cool, that was kind of the end of that relationship, nothing crazy, nothing more. Yes, there was a proposal there, it didn't work out. Okay, we're moving on. She then was written by a man named Ryan, who we kind of all saw during the time that she had come out of prison. Like, he was kind of the person that she did all like the press tour. According to Ryan, he had been watching a TV show with one of his friends, and it was the show The Tiger King. And basically, they had agreed that if the friend writes The Tiger King, he'll write to Gypsy Rose Blanchard.
And a popular show was out, Tiger King, and my friend, we were just sitting there bored. And she said she wanted to write him, and I said, just, okay, fine, write him, and I'll write Gypsy Rose Blanchard, we'll do it together. And never thinking that she would one day be my wife. So it was kind of amazing how it happened.
And so he made it seem like it was just kind of this like light little thing. He later says like, okay, I saw the Mommy, Dad, and Dearest documentary, which obviously came out 3 years before that one. And he's like, I always thought she was kind of cute. So to me, he kind of wanted her. He also specified in the letter, oh, it's not fair that people know about you, but you don't know anything about the outside world or anybody else. So like, here's like a page to get to know me. And then he like shared his like contact information after that, and then she reached out. And Ryan is a middle school special education teacher, and he's already kind of like middle age. So I feel like probably for him, he feels maybe like there's not a lot of like fish in the sea. So 2 years after writing that letter to Gypsy, they end up getting married in 2022. Later on, we find out that Gypsy actually had reached out to Ken, which was the person that she was engaged with before, 2 weeks before the wedding to Ryan.
Not only did I call Ken 2 weeks before the wedding, but the conversation that Ken and I had, I was honest with Ryan about it. I asked Ken, I said, if you don't want me to get married, then you need to tell me now.
When I was watching like little clips of the reality show, I feel like one thing that I kind of saw a lot was that I feel like these two people just could not make it work. I think from Ryan's side, one thing that I saw a lot was actually how really calm he was with Gypsy. He was really like willing to work it out. I really do believe that he genuinely loved her. And from Gypsy's side, I feel like one thing that she said was that she felt like Ryan was controlling her, or she felt like he maybe was like kind of patronizing to her. And I do see like little hints of that. She also mentioned that kind of feeling reminds her a lot of her mother.
Baby, you have to take them for walks. You have to pick up their pee. You have to pick up their poop and stuff.
Mm-hmm. I'm not an idiot. I know how to care for a dog.
I didn't say you were an idiot. Baby, I didn't say you were an idiot.
But I also think that when Gypsy did eventually decide to break up with him, she kind of just said like she didn't really want to continue working on this.
You have to want to work at it.
Okay, right? And are you not wanting to fight for this anymore? No?
I think for her, it's kind of the opposite. It's like she's lived a life of so much suppression, even going to prison. Like, she's only around other women. Like, she wasn't really able to date. Obviously, she had a relationship before Ryan with Ken, but she really didn't have much outside of that. And I think for her, it was like, finally, she's kind of getting a taste of freedom. And probably with this like newfound popularity on social media, I feel like probably there were other people that maybe reached out to her that made her feel like more like, wait, I'm someone that is wanted, and maybe Ryan isn't the person for me. Now, these two ended up separating in April 2024, and from what interviews I've seen, I can see that Gypsy has basically said like, no, I didn't leave him for Ken. I just didn't love him like the same way that he loved me and he deserved to be with someone that loved him. I do actually believe that's true. I know it's gonna sound a little bit like hypocritical because yes, it's horrible to kind of put somebody through that. Like if you guys were here in like a couple of videos ago, I was talking about Ariana Grande moving on with the new boyfriend. I feel like for Gypsy's case, it's like, this is why I wanted to specify in the beginning that we have to consider that this is a person who's a victim of abuse. And one of those taxes is like complete isolation, complete control. And we just have to consider the fact that this person is kind of experiencing everything for the first time. That brings me to my last point, which is the healing journey for Gypsy Rose. Okay, in the interviews that I saw her, I'm like, wait, she's actually super self-aware. Like, I think she has genuine remorse for like her mom's murder. She always says that she misses her mom. I feel like for people they're like, how could you miss your mom? You killed her. Like again, you guys, you have to understand that we probably will never understand what that feels like.
If I feel remorse and sorry, there was one time on the anniversary of the crime is actually the hardest day of the year.
Are you going through psychotherapy?
Yes, I am. And so what I do on the anniversary is I play one of her favorite songs and I allow myself that time to cry. And I mean bawl cry because I feel like I can't do it in front of other people because I'm afraid of being judged for it.
Now, I also have seen Gypsy always mention that she's doing therapy. Even in a recent interview with Ken and her, and she's pregnant, she's like, oh, we're actually doing couples therapy. Like, I think she is making a lot of effort to reacclimate herself to society and to just kind of better herself as a person.
Currently, we're doing this sort of, it's like a couples therapist mixed with a parenting therapist.
But my key takeaways with Gypsy Rose is just that I think she is somebody who has, yes, made mistakes in love for sure. I do hope that she learns from those mistakes and she doesn't repeat it for her current relationship. But I also think that she's somebody who is currently healing and she's done her time. She has, paid her dues. And I just wish for Gypsy Rose, for her to continue to heal, for her to continue to grow. And on that note, thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. I wish you guys the best. Bye.